And my husband of 30 years is right down here, Pat. We live in the East Mountains and we have 3 kids, ages 19, 23, and 25. And I just going to make some notes here because I didn't want to ramble aimlessly. My story began the first week in December of last year, so 2015. After 3 visits to my primary care doctor, who was trying to find out the underlying cause of pain that I was having in my lower back and my abdomen, he finally ordered a CT scan. And after the scan, they told me to go directly back to my doctor's office. And I said, right now? And they said, yeah, your doctor's waiting for you. And I said, okay, thinking it's probably my appendix. So I go back, and my doctor's literally shaking as he tells me that I have a baseball-sized tumor in my pancreas and that it has already spread to my liver and my lungs. And he even started tearing up, and I said, that can't be right. You know, look at me, I don't look sick. But it did turn out to be the right scan. I was hoping I'd get the call, but it wasn't. It really, I was later told that I had about 4 months to live. So had we not caught it then, I would have even been closer to losing battle. So I'm thankful that we found it when we did. When we got that diagnosis, it felt just like falling off a cliff. In those first weeks and days after that diagnosis, it felt like we were in a free fall. We didn't know where to turn. We didn't know who to talk to. We had no idea what to do. So a couple days later, which were pretty intense days, we met with an oncologist in Albuquerque that had been arranged. The appointment had been arranged for us by my doctor. The first question that she asked me, really before even introducing herself, was, do you even want treatment? And I guess because I was so far progressed, she thought that I might just want to spend time with my family. But we did want treatment. So we asked her, what treatments were available, and she said that the only thing they could do for me was standard of care treatment, which was either gemcitabine or FOLFIRINOX. Those are the 2 standard of care. We decided to get a second opinion. So next we flew to Johns Hopkins Hospital in Baltimore because we had heard that is the absolute best research institute when it came to pancreatic cancer. And it was a very disappointing visit because they said they didn't have anything for me. They had no clinical trials going, and the only thing they could do for me was the standard of care, which was exactly the same as what I could get in Albuquerque. I truly was devastated. I don't think I stopped crying for a whole day. I just thought they would have a magic pill of some sort and that everything would be great. So, I never once thought to myself before that appointment that they wouldn't have anything for me, a hospital like Johns Hopkins, but they didn't. So then we decided to get a third opinion at Stanford Hospital because one of our daughters worked at the Stanford Hospital and lived in the area. Same thing there. They didn't have any first-line treatments for me, but they had some incredible second-line treatments. So your first-line treatment is your very first regimen or treatment that you receive, and when that doesn't work or it at some point stops working, then you go on to your second line of treatment. So then it was really interesting to meet the different doctors here and at Stanford and at Johns Hopkins and see the difference in how they handle talking to you as a terminally ill patient. One doctor would not discuss anything negative and wouldn't give you any information unless you asked a question, which for us, we had no idea what questions to even ask. We didn't have the first clue. So that I thought was kind of hard. And then we had another doctor that didn't sugarcoat anything, which for my personality, I really appreciated that, because I wanted to know everything about where I was in this battle. But during this time, our niece, who is an attorney in Phoenix, called us about a place in Scottsdale called the Honor Health Research Institute. It turned out, we found out from the oncologist at Stanford, that the doctor heading up the research institute was the guru of pancreatic cancer, and that he had actually been the one to create gemcitabine, which is the standard of care. So he's like the top doctor in the country for pancreatic cancer. So the oncologist at Stanford had even told us, you need to start at Honor Health because they're having incredible results with their clinical trials. So the doctors at Honor Health were all set to start. They had my drugs out, they had my chair ready, they were ready to go, and then we were told my insurance denied us, which we were not prepared for. We knew that we had to fight the cancer, but we didn't realize we were going to have to fight the insurance company along with the cancer. So it was by far the most stressful 3 days of our entire experience so far. We called everybody in Albuquerque that we knew that worked in the insurance industry, and we finally got it. We finally had the head doctor call the head of Blue Cross Blue Shield, and they finally approved me. So then I got to start treatment. After they approved me, my first line of treatment, which was a clinical trial, was a 3 chemo drug clinical trial, which was Abraxane, cisplatin, and gemcitabine. So all 3 drugs had been approved by the FDA, but they had never been used together in combination. And they were getting results off the chart, literally. In fact, they think that's going to become the new standard of care. So that trial worked great for 6 months, but then it stopped working. So I guess my body figured out how to combat the chemo. But my tumor in my pancreas had been decreased by 60%, and the lesions in my lungs and liver were undetectable or had shrunk down to almost nothing. It was working great until it wasn't. But of course, my doctors didn't give up. They talked to me about option after option, and when we were in those meetings, I've told my friends that I feel like I was in a advanced biochemistry class, and most of it just went over my head. It was so technical. But they decided to put me on 2 drugs called 5-FU and Onivide, which is the standard of care for Ferrinox, but it doesn't have the platinum drug because my neuropathy was getting so bad and the pain was increasing. And that can become permanent where it doesn't reverse itself. So they didn't want me to take a drug that had the platinum in it. They did a scan after 2 months to see if I was responding to the new treatment and found that the chemo drugs were not working at all. I was completely devastated, of course, and that brings us to the current period right now. I'm starting to get better at the highs and the lows of this roller coaster ride that I'm on, but because we're talking about life and death, the highs are pretty high and the lows are pretty devastating. When you have a bad scan, I've started to pray the rosary before each scan because you get so nervous for the results. Honor Health has just received a ton of funding from Stand Up to Cancer, that show the other night, because the doctors in Scottsdale are one of the dream teams for pancreatic cancer. The next treatment that I will be starting, I will be patient number 1, It is a brand new clinical trial that will have an immunotherapy drug called Opdivo paired with what they call an environmental drug that hopefully will activate it to work. So the new immunotherapy that you've heard about, President Carter, this is for pancreatic cancer. I have to wait 2 weeks for what's called a washout period. They want all the chemo out of my body from the prior treatments before they start the new clinical trial with the immunotherapy. The prayers and support that I have received has been unbelievable and humbling. At times, overwhelming. I just don't deserve it, and I know I could never repay the kindness that I've been given. I feel incredibly loved and cared for. I guarantee the support I've been blessed with has and will add time to my lifespan. I am sure of that. I continue to struggle with neuropathy, where my feet and my fingertips are numb, which again can be permanent. One of the patients at Honor Health, and you guys will get a kick out of this, describes it like walking with stakes on the bottom of your feet. It feels like you have an inch of dead skin that you should pull off, but you can't. My balance is continually off a bit, and I have a general ache throughout my body most of the time that intensifies if I get overly tired. So with that, I'm probably no different than all of you. But I don't know if it's allergies or my medications, but my nose runs nonstop. My daughter calls it my new normal, but this is when I'm between treatments. So then when I do treatments, I get additional side effects. About 48,000 people are diagnosed with pancreatic cancer each year, and coincidentally, about the same number, 48,000, die every year from pancreatic cancer. The survival rate per the American Cancer Society is 20% at 1 year and about 7% at 5 years. Those are the survival rates. But of course, Naomi was talking about trying to double that, so that would be very awesome. I feel so blessed to take part in the clinical trials. It may not help my cancer situation, but it's going to help someone somewhere down the line. I really, really believe that. I recently heard that only 5% of cancer patients participate in clinical trials. And I was surprised by that number. If I can help even one person in the future, I have contributed to the cure. And that is really important to me. So I guess with that, I just want to say thank you to everyone here that is either supporting a pancreatic patient or supporting pancreatic cancer research. Thank you. Now back to Shorty here.
I want to thank both Dr. Dan and Julie Wiley, sorry about that earlier. Their speeches were inspiring, I hope, to all of us. I'm sure they were. So as is obvious with Julie here tonight we have survivors with us. We recognize a survivor as anyone who has fought or is currently fighting pancreatic cancer. Survivors are a symbol of hope for us, for all of us in the pancreatic community. They remind us each and every day why we continue to wage hope. And we fight for progress to change the course of this difficult disease. To all of the survivors here tonight, we honor you with your journey. You motivate us in the fight against pancreatic cancer, and we support you and commend you for your strength and spirit. We are all furthering the promise of tomorrow with you leading the way. And I love that Julie pointed out the clinical trials. They're so important for this fight. And if you visit Patient Central, you can get some more information about that. Please join me in acknowledging the strength and determination of all of our survivors here tonight.